What's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Say Woo Barstool Parlay. As always, I'm your host, Austin Froberg. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Man, I know we haven't had a chance to really catch up since the holidays and everything. Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy New Year. It's been a minute. It's been crazy. All the stuff going on, all these sports games happening, bowl games, NFL playoffs, and qualifications, things have been wild. And what I thought this video was going to be about was a review of like all the bowl games and things that have happened so far and what teams are looking like, favorites to win the national championship, things like this, what the teams look like. I thought that's what this was going to be about. I really did, guys. But then actually watching these bowl games and everything, there's just been this pandemic of problems surrounding like a lot of the programs in these bowl games, with coaches and players just basically being MIA, but whether it be literally or mentally. And what I took away from these bowl games was the fact of, man, I can't even really comment on these games because I don't know what a lot of these teams are based on this problem that we're going to talk about today, which is no restrictions for coaches and players. No restrictions of being forced to be prepared and be present physically and mentally. And also the overall, some of the in-game rules and things that need to change in college football. We're going to be talking about rules that need to be implemented and revised. Because honestly, guys, and this is going to be an unpopular take, or, you know, maybe it's not an unpopular take. I don't want to say that, but maybe it's going to be an uncommon take. It's going to be an outside take. It's going to be something that we're talking about where, like I said, when I sat down and watched the bowl games, I really wasn't really watching the games and taking that much away from the competitiveness or the games themselves. What I really, after watching these games from the BCS playoffs to these bowl games, was like Oklahoma, Florida, like what I took away from a lot of these games was just the simple fact of, man, we have a problem in college football. We have a problem of, we can't evaluate teams at the end of the season and say, hey, this team was, at the end of the season, they played head-to-head, and we know that this team was better than that team. Because of these extenuating circumstances that the last couple years have really turned into a pandemic for the sport. And it's something that we need to get changed and something that we need to get fixed. And what I'm talking about is not having any type of guidelines for recruiting coaches, no type of guidelines for making players play, and these ridiculous targeting calls, which if you guys watch the bowl games, you probably already know what call I'm about to get into, but this whole thing that's just become a mess, guys. It's become an absolute mess where this isn't, it's not even football anymore. It's sad. So let's get into this, guys. We're going to get into this. Got the good stuff tonight. Woodford Reserve. After really thinking about this topic and getting into this, guys, we had to get some Woodford Reserve, get some whiskey sours, and really try to figure out what the heck is going on in college football right now. So let's get into it. Anyway, starting with, yes, I'm biased. I'm a Notre Dame fan. We're starting with Notre Dame, Alabama, the first game that I watched this weekend. Oh, man. Notre Dame, Alabama. Good Lord. Where do we start here? Let's start with this. If you guys haven't checked out our Notre Dame video, Brian Kelly might get fired, should get fired, and the actual problems with Notre Dame. You haven't checked that out, check that out. It's really great video where we actually dive into in-depth of the overall problems with Notre Dame, and we weed out all the lame excuses of, well, it's the recruiting and the academic standards and how that's not true. You got programs like Clemson that is 29 active NFL players to Notre Dame, 29 active NFL players. That means we have equal talent on the field because all this, well, they got X amount of five-star recruits and all the rest of this. Guys, go back and look at the five-star recruiting outside of Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama. Who, guess what, guys? Georgia's number 2 on that list. Ask them how that five-star recruiting's worked out for them beating Alabama. Like, look at Florida State. Since Jameis Winston left, which this is, believe me, this is not a pro Jameis Winston rant. This is just a fact. Since Jameis Winston and Dalvin Cook left, which I believe it was more Dalvin Cook than Jameis, another thing we can get into, different show. How are those five stars working out for Florida State? How are they working out for Miami? How are they working out for any of the Texas, any of the other teams on that list? Not good. Five stars are busts, just like first-round picks in the NFL. They're not always good. What I say is to evaluate actually the equal, if there's equal talent on the field, how many NFL caliber players are on that roster versus the other team. Notre Dame's got the talent, guys. They put in more NFL players currently than anybody else in the NFL. And I actually had somebody, which, just as a funny side note, I actually had somebody who said to me on a Notre Dame fan page the other day, oh, that's ridiculous. Alabama has more NFL players than Notre Dame, and even if they don't have as many, the caliber of the NFL players they have is just so far beyond the caliber that Notre Dame has. Oh, really? Oh, really? Have you guys seen like Harrison Smith, like one of the best safeties in football, Notre Dame? Have you guys seen Will Fuller for Houston? Notre Dame. Have you guys seen Jalen Smith for Dallas? Notre Dame. Have you guys seen Golden State? His career? Yeah, pretty good. Notre Dame. Have you guys seen Jerry Tillery for the Chargers? Notre Dame. Have you guys seen these players? Rookie. Claypool. Chase Claypool. You guys seen him? Whew. Next 3 years, he might be the best NFL receiver in football. Whew. Which, topic for another show. NFL, stop doing that. DK Metcalf, Chase Claypool. Stop the bull crap. They're fantastic. Quit screwing up draft picks. Take the best guy on the board. Anyway. They're head and shoulders above NFL players. Are you kidding me? Have you guys met Zach Martin from Dallas? Like, come on, guys. That whole head and shoulders above Notre Dame players is absolutely ridiculous. Notre Dame not only puts players in the NFL, they put superstars in the NFL. So it's ridiculous. Just miss me with that. I don't even want to get into that. It's just absolutely the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard. Oh, yeah. Alabama, their players are so good. They've had one out of their last, 3 running backs actually work in the NFL. Like, Derrick Henry is, one of the only running backs from Alabama that's actually ever worked in the NFL. Like, you guys seen Lacey, Trent Richardson? Alabama players, they're just so phenomenal in the NFL. Like, get out of here with that. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that's me as a Cowboys fan also, who has Amari Cooper and thinks that, Alabama guy, he's good. But you tell me right now we could trade Amari Cooper for Chase Claypool, I'd pull the trigger on that. I would pull the trigger on that. But anyway, so let's get into this. Been off on a tangent here just because I'm very, very upset with some of these arguments of the whole unbalanced talent bull crap. And to further get into this, guys, the biggest thing with the lack of talent and everything, just to dismiss that, is when you can win at the line of scrimmage, that's all you need. That's all you need. That tells you whether you match up or not, is if you can dominate the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame offensively dominated the line of scrimmage against Alabama. They had some bad passes. They had some turnovers, some mistakes. They had some things that cost them in that game, absolutely. But overall, Notre Dame ran the ball when they wanted, and they did what they wanted on offense. They moved the ball up and down the field. They just made some mistakes, penalties, didn't score, and, games like that, mistakes are going to hurt you. But we all know the strength of Notre Dame for years since Manti Te'o. Another one you could throw in there. Oh, Manti Te'o, yeah. Which, guys, yeah, he wasn't like Ray Lewis, which people thought he would be in the NFL, but like he's been a very solid NFL player. Like he's been a solid starting linebacker in the NFL. So once again, hit the brakes. Notre Dame, solid starting caliber NFL players. But man, since Manti Te'o, Notre Dame has they've always dominated defensively. I mean, you look at especially on the defensive line, you look at the defensive linemen that Notre Dame has put into the NFL. Holy crap. And even the last few years, Julian Love, the safety for that they've been like mixing back and forth from safety to corner for the Giants, who I just watched him on full display yesterday when the Giants just smacked the Cowboys. A lot of these players, guys, is the defense has always been one of the strongholds of Notre Dame since the Manti Te'o and really the coming out party of the defense. Well, once again, Notre Dame had a really good defense this year. The defense looked absolutely abysmal against Alabama. Like, it was just pathetic. Which everybody says, well, we didn't let them score 50. Well, congratulations, you didn't let them score 50. Like, are we giving out participation trophies now? Because if you're coming here for a participation trophy, Raw takes no apologies. I'm not one of those guys, all right? I'm not giving out participation trophies. The problem with the Notre Dame defense is this is 2 games in a row now they come out uninspired and got ran all over and just really look confused. And I'm not blaming the kids, guys. I'm not blaming the kids. I love Owusu-Koramoah. He's the best linebacker in college football. Hence, he won the Butkus Award for being the best linebacker in football. So you got Owusu-Koramoah. You got Hamilton. You got this great pass rush. You got Drew White. You got really good backers. You got really good talent on this team. They weren't ready to play, guys. They didn't have a game plan. These kids, am I going to sit here and pretend like these kids didn't want this? These kids didn't want to upset Alabama and go down in history forever as one of the biggest underdogs of all time? Of course they wanted that. Of course they were playing their asses off. The problem is they didn't have a game plan. Why? Because the defensive coordinator, Clark Lee, before the ACC championship game against Clemson, these kids woke up the day before the championship with basically their Twitter blowing up saying Clark Lee's taking the head coaching job at Vanderbilt. Really? You couldn't wait till after the national championship, if you got that far, after the national championship, or after you missed the playoffs, or after your Rose Bowl appearance against Alabama. You couldn't wait to take the Vanderbilt job? That's ridiculous, guys. That's such a distraction for your football team. And we saw live against Clemson and Alabama the best part of that Notre Dame football team, which is their defense, which keeps their subpar offense in games. When I say subpar offense, I mean scoring offense. Notre Dame can dominate the line of scrimmage. That offensive line, that entire offensive line is going to the NFL. The entire thing. Like, some of them are underclassmen, they'll be there next year, but as that offensive line from this year, every guy in that offensive line, as they declare for the draft, will be in the NFL. You're telling me that really the defense, which is the strong part of your team, comes out that just wildly, wildly terrible? I don't buy it one bit. Not one bit. What I do buy is that it's of it being a distraction for the entire team, not just the defense, but especially for the defense when these kids not only are getting a half-assed game plan from Clark Lee because he's focused on his new job versus his current responsibilities with this football team, but these kids now sitting there, like especially these underclassmen, obviously not the seniors, but these underclassmen in panic mode, going, whoa, hey, coach, like, come on, hold on. You're leaving? I came here for whatever reason. Say you're like a defensive end or a linebacker. Defensive ends and linebackers, Notre Dame pumps them out. It's like linebacker and defensive end U. Like the defensive lines and linebackers, Notre Dame just pumps them out. Just pumps them out year after year. Like, and you're sitting there as a player who came to play for Clark Lee because you think that you're going to play well in his system and you like him as a coach, and all of a sudden he's gone and you're going, oh wait, whoa, what if they get a new coach who doesn't run a 4-3, he runs a 3-4, and I don't fit in that scheme, and I don't fit well in the scheme, or I don't like the coach, and they're going, whoa, came here to play for Lee. I didn't come here to play for some random dude. And especially, I say, guys, these underclassmen who were starting this year, some of them, because we didn't have the depth, because we've talked about this in some of the other videos, that Notre Dame does not start underclassmen anywhere unless they absolutely have to. But anyway, some of these underclassmen that are forced to start this year, you think they're not going to leave? Or you think that they weren't at least in the mindset of, instead of focusing on watching film, instead of focusing on the task at hand, they weren't sitting there in their hotel rooms and stuff in panic mode saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because these kids all want to play on Sundays. They all want to get drafted. They all want to be in the NFL and make money doing this. You're seeing that they're not going to take their best shot at doing that and say, hey, damn, man, I can't take a risk on an offensive or a new defensive coordinator that doesn't fit my skill set or puts me in a new defensive scheme that, my skills aren't built for. I'm, like a 4-3 defensive end. We saw that with Dallas this year, trying to turn DeMarcus Lawrence into a stand-up end versus a down end. Like, there's a lot of things that go into changing a defensive scheme based on position. And some guys go, well, I was built to be in this type of system. Like, this is what I do really well. And then you go, well, you're going to put me in a system where I'm not designed to play in that. I'm not going to look very good. I'm not going to risk my NFL future on that. I got to figure out where I'm playing next year. And you got all these guys literally sitting there in the hotel rooms. They're on their phones. They're on Twitter. These guys are going through and they're looking at that and they're going, oh man, we're out of here. What should I do? Where should I go? And where should they go? Man, I don't know. But if you guys want to sit there and realistically say that that's not a distraction, that these kids are literally now on their phones trying to scramble to figure out what their futures look like and where the hell they're going to transfer next year because they're trying to put themselves in the best position possible. Because think about it, guys, I played a little bit of college football and other things. Like, let me clarify this stuff for you guys. As an athlete or somebody as myself who would have loved to play in the NFL, if I'm playing in one of these D1 schools and you're telling me that I have to choose between my own personal future versus beating Alabama, yes, I want to beat Alabama. And I wish 100% I wasn't put in this position. But if I wake up to a text message that my defensive coordinator is leaving and I came here to play in his system and for him, yeah, I'm going to do everything I can to try to beat Alabama and be ready to play, but at least 50% of my time is going to recruiters, phone calls, where am I going to freaking play next year? And figuring out where the heck I'm going. Guys, if you don't think this is a massive distraction and a problem, I mean, that's bad. I mean, I can't even judge Notre Dame and Alabama. Like, I know that Kelly can't really get these guys over the hump, and we saw we need more explosion and things on offense. And there's these things that we can talk about of how we can improve and get better and take the next step. But it still comes down to the simple fact, guys. You can't have a distraction like this before the Alabama game. It's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to anybody to sit there and go, hey, which Clark Lee did before the week before the game. And they're supposed to be game planning for Alabama and doing their walkthroughs and their scout teams and watching film and developing this game plan. This is the week of the game. And 3 days before the game, he's in Vanderbilt giving his press conference of, hey, welcome Commodores, I'm the new head coach. Nice to be here. I used to go to school here. I'm an alumni. We're excited to get the program rolling. What? You're doing that instead of watching film the week of the Alabama game? You think Saban ain't watching film? You think his coordinators ain't watching film? And they are a better football team than you? You can be competitive, and if you get a couple things that go your way with a good game plan, you could win that game. But they are better than you, and if you think you're going to walk in against one of the best offenses in the history of college football as the defensive coordinator, unprepared, and win that football game? Are you out of your mind? You think that when you have a good defense and you could slow them down, that you think that you can walk in against Alabama and that high caliber offense without using every possible moment and second to study and prepare for that game and win? That's sad, guys. You guys don't think this is a distraction or a problem? What do you think that would send to you if you were a player? Especially, and we're going to look at it from two sides, an underclassman who's still got time left to play. You're telling me that those underclassmen are now sitting there going, well, coach, I worked my ass off for you. I worked my ass off for you this whole season. I didn't see my family on Christmas because of COVID protocols. I did everything I could do to be on the field and be my best self and be here for you and work. I gave you my undivided attention, which is what every college coach will ask for. I want your undivided attention to our main goal, which supposedly for Notre Dame is winning a national championship. I want your undivided attention to try to chase this national title. I gave it to you. I didn't see my family on Christmas. I didn't see my girlfriend all year because she was hanging out with a couple people that tested positive. I did everything I could. I showed up. I came in early. I stayed late. I did everything. I called you at night. I did everything to try to be the best version of myself for you. And now, coach, I'm chasing a national title. I'm chasing one of the biggest upsets in history. And I need your undivided attention to give me the guidance of, I need you to be in X position to achieve this. We got to figure out a game plan to achieve this. That's your job. I did my job. I showed up to practice. I lifted in the summer. I worked my ass off. I sweated my balls off. I'm here giving you effort. I committed to school when I was a freshman to play for you. I devoted my future to you when I was a kid coming out of high school saying, I want to play for you, coach. I gave you everything I had. And now, when I need you for 2 weeks, Rose Bowl, national championship, I need you for 2 weeks. You can't even give me your attention for 1 week. I didn't go see my sick mom on Christmas because I had to be here to play in this game. And you couldn't postpone a press conference for me, coach? You already had the job. You're an alumni. They wanted to hire you. You're a good defensive coordinator. You already had the job. You couldn't put that on the back burner and just focus on me and my teammates. You couldn't focus on us for 1 week. You wanted everything we had, and you couldn't give one week in return to us to try to help us get to the next level? Really? To try to help us do what everybody thinks is impossible? Really? You can't do me that favor? Really? Think about it as a seniors, guys. As a senior, you're literally sitting there, coach, I busted my balls for 4 years. Not only did I go through this season, which was a mess, and so many challenges and so much distance from family and everything else, and so many sacrifices with all these COVID restrictions and everything this season, at my senior year, but the last 3 years up until then, I busted my ass. Coach, for 4 years, I killed myself for you. I did everything I could for you. And now my senior year, when I'm trying to do something special, maybe the last football game I ever play, coach. This may be it. Alabama might beat us. They may be the better team. The last time I'm going to step on this field for you, you won't even skip a press conference for me? You guys don't think that's a distraction? Let that sink in. Notre Dame came into this Alabama game players in panic mode, probably already talking to recruiters and on the transfer portal, trying to figure out what the hell is going to happen to them next year. Seniors just completely deflated, going, God, this guy ain't here for us. First opportunity to jump ship for himself. He won't even give us the time of day. He's worried about himself. He don't care about us at all. Seriously? Guys, all this circulating around, and then the coach not even bringing it up himself. These players are finding out on Twitter. Like, you guys don't think this is a distraction? You don't think that's a problem? Guys, we have to put guidelines in place of what's the point watching big games? What's the point in watching big games if teams are going to be evenly matched up? And I'm not saying Alabama and Notre Dame was, but what I am saying is if you have two teams that are evenly matched up and a coordinator dips or something else right before the game, like, you probably already know what team is going to win, and it ain't the one with the coordinators out. Look at what happened to Clemson. How good did Clemson look against Ohio State? Not very good. We'll get more of that in a second. But, guys, if you guys don't think this is a problem or a distraction or there needs to be rules against this, because it's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the seniors. It's not fair to the underclassmen. It's not fair to that football team that's working for a common goal to achieve X. And then that coach just says, I'm worried about Y, which is me. I'll help you take care of X, but when I'm done with Y. That's not fair, guys. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the players. It's not fair for me as a Notre Dame fan to wake up to Twitter and say, oh, well, I guess Notre Dame's probably going to lose before it's ever even kicked off because the coordinator's dipping out of town and not even showing up to freaking practice to prepare for Alabama. He's down doing press conferences. This can't happen, guys. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for the players. This can't happen. They need to instill rules like they have in the NFL. The NFL has rules for players' free agency. They have rules for coaches' free agency. You can't, as an organization, call like Mike Tomlin under contract for the Steelers. You can't call Mike Tomlin and recruit him down to coach for you while he's under contract with the Steelers. That can't happen. And you can't hire him to be your head coach when the season's not even up. Like, that can't happen. We have to have a series that says, hey, this is open in January. If you're a college football program, let's be real. You're a big-time college football program like Vanderbilt or someplace else, which not saying they're big-time and being competitive. I just mean like you're a D1 program. You're a bigger school, not that you're competing for anything like Alabama or Notre Dame or Clemson. That's not what I'm saying. But you're a big program like Vanderbilt. You're telling me that if you had to wait till January 20th before you could talk to head coaches, which you already know, like Clark Lee's a Vanderbilt alum, you already know he's top of your list. You're telling me you couldn't wait till the 20th to interview him, probably want to hire him same day, and then do the press conference the 21st, 22nd? Really? Really? You're telling me you couldn't have your coaching situation figured out in a week, certainly in a month? Really? We know every school has a short list of coaches that they want to hire, a short list of realistic candidates they're going to interview that would take the job. You tell me in a month you can't figure it out? If you can't figure it out in a month, you need new athletic administration. So let's be real here, guys. We can't keep having this happen. And I'm using this because there's multiple things that happened this bowl season, which, like the rest of 2020, was insane. But this is just a reoccurring theme because it's coordinators, head coaches. Like, we have to put some type of guidelines on. We can't have players coming out flat. We can't have players and organizations and things feeling betrayed because of the things that are going on. It just can't happen. It's not fair to the fans, the players. It's not good for the university. It's not good for recruiting. It's not good for anything. We can't have this happen. On the other side, let's talk about Oklahoma, Florida. Let's talk about it from the player standpoint. Oklahoma's a good football team. And when I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about, I don't want to take away from the fact that Oklahoma won the game and they're a good football team. But do I think that Oklahoma is a good enough team that they probably would have been a better 4 seed spot than Notre Dame. Well, yeah, for one reason. They have Lincoln Riley. We have Brian Kelly. It's not even close. Lincoln Riley's here. Brian Kelly's not. Like, the coaching's not even close. They'll be better coached, better game plan, better schemed, and better prepared for that game than Notre Dame. Has nothing to do with the players. Has nothing to do with the talent. But Florida and Oklahoma should have been a very good football game. Should have been something that all of us wanted to watch over the weekend. And Oklahoma wrecked them. Oklahoma routed Florida. It wasn't even close. And this is not to take anything away from Oklahoma. Do I think Oklahoma could have won the game regardless? Oh, absolutely. Oklahoma's a good football team. Oklahoma on a given day could beat anybody in the country. I think Alabama is really the only team in the country where you really look at it and go, they can pretty much beat anybody anytime they want this year. But it's when you take Alabama out of it and you go Clemson, Ohio State, do I think Oklahoma could beat anybody on a given day? Oh, yeah. They can beat Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida. Like, they can beat anybody on a given day. But let's literally look at this, okay? Is Oklahoma like 55-26 better than Florida? Absolutely not. They made Florida look like Notre Dame, like just completely outmatched. Yeah, absolutely not. Oklahoma is not head and shoulders above Florida. They're competitive with everybody. That's the key word, competitive. Oklahoma is not dominant over any of these teams. So what should have been a good football game, which in reality, if I had to pick, I would have picked Florida to win this game. But what happened was Florida had like 8 starters opt out of the game. Florida had 8 players who said, "Hey, we're not gonna play tonight. We don't want to play. We don't want to get hurt. NFL draft. We're not playing." Trask, who was actually most people's favorite to win the Heisman Trophy coming into this Oklahoma game, the Florida quarterback, he's completely out of the Heisman race because they didn't have any starting wide receivers. He had no starting wide receivers. He had like 4 to 6 dudes opt out on defense. All the starting wide receivers are gone. Like, Florida's basically, their whole team opted out. They just said, we're not going to play. And Oklahoma did what they're supposed to. They come in against a bunch of second string and rout them, and Trask looks bad because he's got nobody on the field, and now he's out of the Heisman race. And like I said, do I think Oklahoma had a chance to win the game anyway? Oh, absolutely. I would not be surprised if Oklahoma won that game with Florida at full strength. Don't get me wrong. I would have picked Florida to win the game, but just because I think they're better on both sides of the ball, they got a good offense and defense. Oklahoma continues to get better on defense, but that's still a work in progress, and they're going to continue to recruit to get stronger. But it shouldn't have been a blowout, all right? And that's the point, guys. What are we like? We just need to get rid of these bowl games. And this is something that I've even heard on sports shows, which you guys know usually I don't agree with a lot of takes on sports shows. But this is something I've been hearing on sports shows is, hey, I believe it's Joel Klatt that keeps saying it. Hey, it's time to get rid of the bowl games. If we're going to do this playoff, let's make it an 18 playoff and get rid of the bowl games. Let's get this over with. We're done. Because these players don't care about bowl games anymore. Because now that we have the playoffs where there's like, it's not just the national champion, it's not just you sitting there going, well, we weren't one of the 2 teams selected for the BCS, but we're going to go into the Rose Bowl and, pound Wisconsin and show them that we should have been in the national championship and still finish your season on a high note. You could, sit there and say, hey, we're a one-loss team. We should have been in, but we're not, we're going to finish our season. This, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, this is our championship because we didn't get an opportunity to play in the championship through no fault of our own as a one-loss team. Yeah, we could have went undefeated, whatever, but we lost one game. There's, one team got lucky and went undefeated. They picked another one-loss team over us. Wasn't our fault. We didn't play for a championship, so this is our championship. There was still some meaning to the bowl games. There's no meaning anymore. When you're playing a big game like Oklahoma, Florida State in a bowl game, and you just have like 8 players opt out, and you say, I'm getting ready for the draft. I don't want to play. And all your, like, half your starters opt out. It's ridiculous. That's insane. Like, how does anybody think this is rational or okay? Like, this is absolutely insane. Once again, guys, we have to put rules into place. Like I said, if you're, like, a Florida team and you're not good, and you guys are 7-6 and just everybody gets into a bowl game, and you had a bad year and you don't want to play in the Little Caesars Bowl like against Wake Forest, who even your backups will pound by 50. You say, hey, I'm going to opt out and this and that. Like, I don't want to accidentally somehow have some freak accident and compromise myself in the draft. I get that. It's fair. But at the same time, guys, this is a big game. And as a player, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of the Florida players. As a former player, I'm ashamed. Because we all preach brotherhood. We all preach you're supposed to be there for each other. And your quarterback's out for the Heisman and all of your starting receivers opt out. They say, hey, listen, Kyle, yeah, man, about the Heisman Trophy, I know you really want that. You've been working your ass off for it, and, you're, like, leading in the Heisman race right now. But we're all going to opt out, so you're going to have a really shitty game. Good luck, bro. How is that, like, for me as a quarterback, like, if all my starting receivers opted out, I'd be sitting there going, like, are you serious, bro? You're really going to, like, stick it up my ass like that? Like, you're really going to stick me and, like, screw me out of a Heisman Trophy? Like, I who knows? I might be a bust in the NFL. I don't know. And I'm not a big fan of Trask. I don't think he's going to really work in the NFL. I think he'll be a solid, like, backup Cal. I don't think he's going to be a starting NFL quarterback. Like, bro, like, this literally might be the biggest accomplishment of my life. I'm about to win a Heisman Trophy, and you're about to literally just stick me and just say, oh, F you, dude. Seriously? I don't understand it, guys. I really don't. I really don't understand it. And, and I looked at this and I used this as an example. And this is not to toot my own horn. It's just an example of what's going on. So when I was in high school, I was a field goal kicker. I was a punter. I was an outside linebacker. I played quarterback, outside linebacker. Like I said, I played like multiple different positions. Started both ways. That would be like me going into our first round game when I was a senior in the playoffs going, hey, guys, listen, Western Michigan is calling me to kick field goals. So I don't want my leg to get tired for Western. I don't want to accidentally somehow, break my leg or something in the game. So I'm just not going to show up today. I want to be healthy for Western in the spring. And then, all these players, which for my football team, we were brothers. We loved each other. Like, we were brothers. I literally, for months, and this isn't me being sappy, I'm just being real, I cried for months thinking about playing college football without these dudes lining up next to me. It made me very sad to sit there and be like, God, I'm going to line up. I'm going to be in them white lines. There's going to be a new dude next to me. I'm not going to have Tyler. I'm not going to have Jimmy. I'm not going to have Matt. I'm not going to have Michael. I'm not going to have Justin. I'm not going to have the guys next to me that I've relied on, that I've had their back, they had my back. We had that bond for 2 years. Like, really? And that's the thing, guys. That would be like me literally looking at those people that at that moment in time I considered like family, my brothers on my football team, my guys. Look at them and go, hey, listen, guys. I know we got a playoff game this week, and it's like an undefeated climax team. Like I said, my leg's a little tired. Good luck when that like I'll say running back's coming off the edge because I'm not going to be there at linebacker. Good luck. Good luck on offense because, I'm not going to be there either playing quarterback. Hey, guys, good luck. Even kicking extra points. Good luck kicking an extra point after you score in this game because I won't be there. Good luck kicking a field goal if a drive stalls. I won't be there. Hey, guys, you know what? Good luck holding them out of the end zone in your territory the entire day because you can't flip the field because I won't be there to punt. You have nobody on the team who can punt, kick, anything at all. Like I was literally, if I got hurt, we were screwed. We could not kick the ball 5 yards. We had nobody on the roster that could kick other than me. So that's literally sitting there going, hey guys, good luck. They're literally going to get the ball on your 20-yard line in the red zone every possession, and they're a pretty good undefeated team. Good luck winning that game because you can't even flip the field position because I'm just not going to play tonight because, I don't want, just in case I don't want anything to happen. No, I owe that to the fans. I owe that to, those other kids' parents, the fans, school. I owe that to myself. I owe that to my teammates. More than anything, my brothers that I battled with all year so we could get in this position, I owe that to them. And, I was a senior, and I owed it to the other seniors, like my buddy Tyler in high school. He was, all-state linebacker. He has a school tackling record. He was the middle linebacker. I was one of the outside linebackers. I owe it to him. He worked his ass off for 4 years to get to this position and do something special. I owe it to him to give them the best opportunity to win. How are they going to win a game if they can't punt, kick a field goal, or an extra point? Regardless of me not playing quarterback or outside linebacker or anything else, I'm the only kicker on the roster. We don't even have another guy who can punt the ball 10 yards or kick an extra point. How is that fair to them? How do I do that to my brothers in battle? And as an NFL scout, that'd be a problem for me. If I had one of those Florida players on my draft board, after that Oklahoma game, they're off my draft board, gone. That shows your character because this isn't the Little Caesars Bowl against Wake Forest and your backups will beat them. That's not what this is. This is Florida, Oklahoma in a big-time bowl game. Your quarterback's up for a Heisman Trophy, and you guys actually have something to play for. You've only lost 2 games. You've had a great year. Finish it strong and help your brother next to you, who's maybe a borderline draft pick, but without you on the field, now he's being targeted. Maybe he doesn't look good. Your quarterback slides down the draft because he's not winning a Heisman Trophy. No. You got to take responsibility to show up. And if you really care about your teammates and you're not selfish, show up and play against Oklahoma. And this is something that it's almost like this NBA culture bleeding into college football. Because we've seen the Bosa brother do it for Ohio State. We say, I'm just not playing this year. I don't want to get hurt. I'm going to be a first round. I don't want to play. But at least he did it preseason so they could adjust. And, he didn't do it before the national championship or before their major bowl game, We have to have some type of thing because the NBA did this, load management in the NBA where guys are just saying, I'm primetime games. They come in, not only are people buying tickets, say I'm a Kawhi Leonard fan and because he's the king of load management, I show up to a Clippers game. I take my son here. We want to see Kawhi, maybe get an autograph. He's not even playing. He doesn't even show. I'm not playing tonight. I don't want to play tonight. Really? And then it's a primetime game. The NBA, every sports organization, they schedule these games based on, hey, the best possible matchup we think or a very interesting matchup we're going to put on prime time because people want to watch it. And then it's the Bucks and Giannis versus Kawhi and the Clippers. And then Giannis and Kawhi don't even play and you're sitting there in prime time going, why am I watching a bunch of backups? I don't want to watch this. I'm literally basically watching preseason NBA. This is stupid. Why am I watching this? And the NBA got rid of that. That load management now, I think they basically completely canned it. Teams will do it backdoor. He's got a sprained ankle. He can't play tonight. They'll backdoor it somehow. But overall, the NBA's hey, no more. This can't happen anymore. We need to have this happen in college football because it's becoming too common that star players, or Florida's case, basically all their star players just say, NFL draft, we're out. We don't want to play. That's ridiculous, guys. That can't happen. That's even from a money standpoint for college football, they know that can't happen. Everybody knows, even if I'm an Oklahoma fan, yeah, maybe I'll watch the game as an Oklahoma fan just to say hey, I know I'm going to win and the game's going to be shit, but it's the last game of the season. I want to see Oklahoma win one more time. That's fine. But like me as a Notre Dame fan, you think I'm going to watch that Florida-Oklahoma game knowing like an hour like or a couple days before the game that Florida's not even fielding a team? Florida's just like, oh, we're throwing a bunch of rookies and freshmen and a bunch of wild, just we don't have anybody to put out there. We're just going to put some second stringers out there and see if we can go match up to Oklahoma. And I'm going to be like, Oklahoma's a good team. Good luck. Yeah, like literally, I would have been sitting there on my couch, like knowing about this pre-game because I didn't see notifications or ESPN or anything, coming up to this game. So I sat down to watch it, and when I started watching, it was like second quarter. I turned it off. I'm like, what's the point? Because I was thinking, SEC, they got some recruiting, maybe they got some backups there, and I'm just like, oh. Yeah, because when I first read it before the game, when I turned it on, and literally the only reason I even turned it on was there's nothing else on. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched it all. If there's another game that I actually wanted to see on, I would have watched it all. But I would have literally been sitting there like Kramer from Seinfeld, like, oh, you're not even putting any of your stars in the field, and you think you're going to beat Oklahoma? Good luck! Like, no. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Like, this stuff can't happen. Because now, like, for me, I can't even sit here and really evaluate the Florida-Oklahoma game because I don't know who Oklahoma beat. They got a bunch of guys I haven't seen all year. I don't know who I don't know who Oklahoma beat. They beat a bunch of backups. It's like, I mean, yeah, Oklahoma did their job. I guess that's impressive. They beat them the way that they should have. But, like, what do I evaluate? What's the point in evaluating Oklahoma smacking a bunch of backups? Like, that's like, oh, Oklahoma beat Appalachian State like 70-0. Oh, and? Like what? There's nothing for me to evaluate because Florida literally didn't show up for the game. Like literally, their team didn't show up for the game. Their team just said, we don't want to play. This stuff can't happen, guys. The other thing that I want to touch base on is these targeting calls. This stuff has to change. Targeting is absolutely insane. For you guys that watched the Clemson-Ohio State game, I was very impressed with Ohio State. As usual, I was very unimpressed with Trevor Lawrence. Every time he steps on the field, I look at him and the other star quarterback on the field, like Justin Fields, and I go, that guy is better than him. So, once again, I watched a Clemson big-time game like I did with Joe Burrow last year and said Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence based on what I'm looking at right now on the field. Big turning point in that game. I think Clemson could have still had an opportunity to win the game. The problem with this game was we don't know how good Clemson's defense could have been because what we've seen with Clemson's defense is a lot of people don't understand, like, your middle linebacker is the quarterback of your defense. Like, he's the one that calls your defensive audibles, gets your guys lined up, gets them in the correct place. And Skalski for Clemson, he's very, very good, guys. Like, he's very good. Like, I know Owusu-Koramoah for Notre Dame won the linebacker of the year. Part of that was because Skalski was out for a few games. I do believe that Skalski is a little bit better than Koramoah. As an overall linebacker, I think he's just a phenomenal talent. He's a headhunter. He just finds the ball, man, and he's so good at getting his guys aligned and lined up. He was such a big impact with that defense being out. And I said against when Notre Dame beat Clemson that Skalski, not Lawrence, Skalski being out because Notre Dame put points up on Clemson was the biggest factor in Notre Dame beating Clemson because Skalski would have had those guys lined up. Obviously, he's a factor himself. I think that was the biggest factor, not Trevor Lawrence. Well, early in the first quarter, Justin Fields runs. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Turns to kind of lower his shoulder. Skalski's kind of already down. He's down. He's kind of on his knees, basically. Goes to wrap him up on his knees, shove him back. He gets a targeting call. He hit him in the lower abdomen rib area, like hit him right here. Gets a targeting call. This targeting stuff is insane, guys. We have to revise these targeting rules. The targeting rules were put in place for one reason: following the NFL rules of the defenseless receiver to help with concussions and stop defensive players from getting smashed in the head and get a concussion. To stop the blackout, possibly you could paralyze him hits. Skowski makes this tackle. Just because he lowers his head when he comes in to make the tackle, just because he lowers his head to wrap him up, which he's already on his knees, so you're wanting to sit here like this, trying to, just because he, which, guys, I hate to tell you as a football player, when you lower your shoulder into somebody, your head drops. Like, I'm not going to lower my shoulder and do, like this is not a proper tackling position. Like, this doesn't make sense. If you're in a position where you can't chest the guy up, you're going to lower your head to put your head on one side, hit him with your shoulder on the other, wrap up. That's how that works. Well, Skowski comes down, lowers his head, gets it on one side, wraps him up. Because his head came down and was parallel, they called it targeting, which to the letter of the law, technically, you could say is targeting. That's such a bullcrap call. He didn't try to hurt anybody. He didn't try to make a dirty play. Is this football anymore? This is my other problem with watching college football, because I've seen it happen with Notre Dame too. Kyle Hamilton got ejected for a similar hit where he's literally coming in with his head up, and when he lowers to hit the guy, his head's still kind of up like this, making eye contact with you. The back lowers his head, and they make helmet-to-helmet contact. When the back tries to duck under him and protect himself and lower his head, he gets ejected because it's helmet-to-helmet. We have to revise these rules. This is the most stupid stuff I've ever seen. It makes absolutely no sense. How is a guy hitting somebody in the abdomen targeting? Somebody explain it to me. Oh, he lowered his head. Did he hit him with his helmet? No, he didn't. Did he try to hit him dirty or like get in position to hurt him, or just make a solid football tackle? Just a solid football tackle. Oh, okay, so you're just not allowed to hit anymore. You're not allowed to ever be out of position or kind of just make a wrong move. Seriously? Guys, these defenders are on ice skates, and you wonder why the defense, like why the NFL is going wild with points, college is going wild with points. I hate to tell you guys, the athletes aren't better. It's not that these receivers and these quarterbacks and everybody's better. The offensive coordinators are smarter. That's not what it is. It's because the defenses are on ice skates now because they're not allowed to hit people. They're basically making hitting illegal. That's what we're trending towards, is one day, like maybe 20, 30 years from now, we're going to wake up and there's not going to be any more live contact football. It's going to be flag football because hitting is just illegal. They may still let them wear shoulder pads and helmets, but it's basically going to be flag football, which is what we're trending towards. Like watching that Ohio State game, and then Clemson was playing really good defensively. Ohio State really didn't have a whole lot going. Skowski, just like Notre Dame, leaves the game, and then that's the Justin Fields. Oh, I'm so hurt, and not to bash Justin Fields, because I think Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence, and he played phenomenal in that game, and he just really worked through injury and played awesome. No problem there. But to sit there and pretend like that game wasn't dramatically affected when your starting linebacker, the quarterback of your defense, he's as big a part of that defense as Trevor Lawrence is their offense. When he leaves the game and all of a sudden at that point, Ohio State starts going wild, that's not a huge factor. Come on, guys. Come on. He should have never been ejected that game. And what is up with this, even if you do get that targeting call? What is up for this? You can be penalized in a game you haven't even played it. What is up with that? I get a targeting call. I get ejected from this game and the first half of the next game. Oh, so I accidentally make one bad play, or what you deem, which is ridiculous to be a bad play. And not only do I did not get to play against Ohio State, if somehow we still win this game, I can't play against Alabama, the best offense in the country, next week for a half. Are you kidding me? Now my defense is screwed next week because I can't play. What is this nonsense? Not only are you out for the game, but you're out for the entire rest of the next game, like the entire half of the next game. Like, oh, we're suspending you into the future because we can. Like, what is this nonsense? And we have to change the rules of this targeting. Targeting should come down to one thing. If you're a runner, you can never be targeted. That's called spearing, and it's a penalty, and it's a 15-yard penalty. We already have that. Runners can never be targeted, period. Never can have targeting on a runner. Second, this blindside block bull crap where, oh, you're running this way, and even if you're about to catch my guy, if I'm coming in and you're not looking at me, I can't block you and spring my guy for a touchdown. That's stupid. Unless I try to spear you with my head and hit you head to head, that should not be a thing. If I lower my shoulder and hit you on the side and you don't see it coming and you get blasted, that's on you. This is football. Blindside block, gone. Like, you can tell if somebody's trying to get a dirty hit and they like spear helmet to helmet on a blindside block or something. Which, I hate to tell you guys, like, when you don't see it coming, that's not how you get hurt. When you get hurt is when you see it coming. When you protect yourself, you tighten up. Like that's how you get hurt. When you don't see it hurt, like a car crash, your body's loose. When your body's loose, you actually are less likely of getting hurt than when you're tense and tight. That's when you tense up and things pull and snap. And if I'm loose, I'm less likely to get hurt. Anytime you lower your head, that's targeting, gone. Bull crap. Revise the rules. If you want to eject them for the game, fine. No way ever it should carry into the next game. You want to get rid of the blindside blocks. Like I said, get rid of those. So head lowering blindside blocks, those are gone. The only thing that should ever be considered targeting is a defenseless receiver in the air. And if you want to say it with interception suits, I think you can go both ways. Somebody, the quarterback throws a wild pass. It's an obvious pick. The corner jumps up and you spear him as a wide receiver. Any type of offensive or defense, a defenseless receiver in the air, head-to-head contact with the head intentionally down, hitting them in the side of the head or the front or whatever. A high, lowered head spearing hit, that's it. If it's not a defenseless receiver getting speared from the crown of the helmet to helmet, when they're not looking, catching the ball, that's it. Runners, you don't get targeting. When you're chasing a play, you don't get blindside block or targeting on a blindside block. Doesn't happen. This is ridiculous, guys. It's football. People get hit. If you don't want to get hit, don't sign up to play. Like, I'm glad that I literally got out of football just before all this stuff got in. Because me and my linebacking core in high school, we were nasty dudes. We were looking to hurt people. Not bad. We don't want to tear people's ACLs and stuff, but we were looking to hurt you. We were looking to, bruise your ribs, sprain your ankle, twist your leg around, get you out of the game. We were looking to hurt guys. This was a physical sport. We wanted to lay the pain. We wanted every time we hit you for you to go to the sideline and second guess whether you want to come back in and get hit again. That's football. And let me tell you guys something. And I'm going to be completely honest here. And I feel terrible about it to this day. I've talked to the kid. I feel bad about it. But we played a rival school, and they had a running back that came out in the flat. My buddy dove his leg. I came in to hit him high, right shoulder, top shoulder pad, collarbone area. I wanted to blast this kid. I came in to hit him high. Well, as I kind of left my feet to hit him, my buddy came in from the backside off a block, hit him in his legs. So he's coming this way, and I'm coming this way, and this kid's caught in between. And he got there just before me, so his kind of knees went to the ground, and as he's on the ground, I'm making contact, going back the other way. We fractured this kid's back. And I feel terrible about it. Like, you never want to hurt somebody like that. You never want to see anything like that happen in a game. That's you don't ever want to see that ever. And you don't ever want to inflict that type of, punishment on somebody. Like, yes, you want to, give somebody a stinger, make them feel it. They're like, oh man, God, that guy just blasted me, and make them think about running that way again or wanting to even come back in the game. You want to bruise people, beat them up, but you don't ever want to really injure people. There's a difference between hurting people and injuring people. You want to hurt people, you don't want to injure people. And, that was probably one of the low points of me and some of the other linebackers' points of that season was, we really injured this kid. There was no targeting. We didn't get ejected. It was an accident. Somebody came in low the same time I came in high. There was no game plan of, hey, we're going to, hurt this kid, extensively. No, it was an accident. He came in low. I came in high. We blasted him opposite directions, and something happened. And I feel terrible about it, and I wish that it hadn't happened. But it's a physical game, and that's what football is. And when you step on the field, you take the risk of knowing that something like that could happen to you. And if you're not willing to take that risk, then you don't step on the field, and that just is what it is. And every time I stepped on the field, I accepted the fact and was willing to accept the fact that I was going to step on that field knowing I could get seriously, seriously injured. And the risk for me was worth it. If the risk isn't worth it, you shouldn't be on the field. If you don't feel that way, or you don't love the game that much, or you don't just have a desire to play that much, you shouldn't be on the field. We have to revise these rules. And I know that most of these kids, obviously playing college football, they accept the risk. They want to be there. They love contact. They're accepting of what we're talking about. Those other guys that get hit, you shouldn't get a cheap win in a BCS playoff game because the top player on the other team gets knocked out with a bullshit penalty. That's insane. That's stupid. Then once again, guys, like I said, when I'm watching these bowl games, I'm like, I don't know who's better, Clemson or Ohio State, because Skowski's out and Clemson's getting easy points, or Ohio State's getting easy points on Clemson. I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm watching. I can't evaluate team versus team because I'm watching like Oklahoma and Florida. I'm watching Notre Dame and Alabama. I'm watching Clemson, and they all got their problems and bullshit going on with the games where I'm like, I can't evaluate because I'm not watching a full game of two good teams from start to finish all weekend. All weekend it's ejections and coaches leaving and the players distracted and players don't even want to play and they're not on the field. Like, I can't sit down and evaluate this team was better than this team. Everybody showed up. Everybody played. Everybody was there. There's no bullshit ejections and everything was there. I can't. There's nothing there. The only thing I was watching, which is why we're making this video, is at the end of the thing, sitting there going, yeah, he looked pretty good. Clemson looked pretty good. Oklahoma looked pretty good. Ohio State looked pretty good. Alabama looked pretty good. But what if? What if so-and-so wasn't injected? What if Notre Dame had a real game plan because their defensive coordinator wasn't leaving? What if Florida would have had all their players? If you're left with a bunch of what ifs and you can't just say, yeah, no, they beat them flat out. Yep, 100%. If you can't ever say that anymore when it comes down to the end of the season, then what are we doing? What are we even playing these games for? What are we talking about? And that, like I said, guys, that was the whole problem with this entire scenario. But with that, guys, rant over. But that was my takeaway from the bowl games. So like I said, guys, I just watched these bowl games and I wanted to give scores and ratings and say, hey, this is what this team did and this is what this team did. But I really don't know who the best teams are right now other than Alabama. I don't know who the best teams are right now because every other team had this scandalous thing going on, whether it's players getting ejected, coaches leaving, players not showing up to play. I don't know. I don't know what I watched all weekend. I don't know. I'm confused. I can't give any actual grades out for last weekend of what I actually watched because I have nothing to compare who the teams are playing against because everything's just a clusterfuck. But that being said, guys, thank you for stopping by and watching another episode of Say What? Barstool Parlay. Sorry I ran it, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. And as always, make sure to smash that subscribe button, like, share, help us build the channel. We're always trying to build the channel so we can make more great content and continue to upgrade what we do here. Help us achieve that. Like, share, subscribe. And as always, leave comments. Let us know what you want to see us make videos about, because you never know, your next comment may be our next Barstool Parlay. Thanks for stopping by, guys. And we'll see you real soon. Peace out. Doses.